Welcome! Today I'm going to be making some peppermint creams. A nice, quick, easy, sweet treat. Perfect for this festive season. To make our peppermint creams, we're going to need the white of 1 egg. I've got myself a box of 500 gram box of icing sugar. I'm not sure how much icing sugar we are going to need, so we'll weigh that as we go along, so I can make you a proper accurate recipe in the description underneath. And peppermint extract or essence. I'm using a peppermint essence here. That's it. That's all we're going to need ingredients wise. Now, I don't know how much icing sugar this is going to take. It depends on the size of your egg. I've got my sieve to sieve my icing sugar and a bowl for mixing. So we're going to start by breaking our egg into my mixing bowl. So I'm just going to give my egg white a quick beat with my wooden spoon. Just enough to slacken it up so it's not too globby. Now at this point I'm going to weigh my bowl and egg white and spoon so we can see how much icing sugar we're going to be adding to our mixture. So the whole thing is 835 grams. I'm going to write that down. 835 grams. There we go. So that's our start weight. We'll see what it weighs when I've finished adding icing sugar. I'm going to sieve in, I've got a 500 gram box of powdered sugar, icing sugar, and I'm going to sieve the icing sugar into my egg white. It's not essential, but it will make things a bit easier, just to help push the icing sugar through. Pop that out of the way a moment and mix this in. We don't need to beat it all fluffy, and we're not making meringues. It's going to be a pastry-like dough. Right, now it's gone all wet and watery again. We'll add some more icing sugar. And slowly to start with, so we don't puff sugar everywhere. And once it all starts getting sticky and combined, we can beat it a little bit harder. Now my mixture's starting to pull together a bit into one nice firm lump. So at this point, we're still too wet and sticky for my hands and fingers. Before it gets too firm, at this stage is where I want to be adding my peppermint extract. You want a teaspoon of peppermint. I usually like to put a little bit more because I do like them very minty and very strong, but that's personal preference. Start with a teaspoon. You can taste your mixture. If it's not pepperminty enough for you, you can always add a bit more. But be aware, the more peppermint extract you put in, the more icing you're going to need to put in to absorb that liquid, because this will make things a little bit runny again for a moment. So I like to find my teaspoon. Half a teaspoon, well that'll do. I'll do 2 halves. Half a teaspoon and half a teaspoon. And then again, slowly to start with, because your peppermint extract is wet. You don't want to splat it everywhere. Just to combine that into your icing egg white mixture. Oh, now it smells gorgeous. Now we're aiming to make a firm, handleable dough that we can roll out as you would a pastry. So this definitely needs more of our icing sugar. We just keep adding icing sugar a little bit at a time until we get a firm mixture suitable to pick up with your fingers and roll in your hands. At some point it'll get too stiff to work with the wooden spoon, and we need to get our fingers in there and start mushing it around. Very much like making a pastry. So my mixture's coming together now to form one lump. I've still got some dry powdery icing sugar around the bowl, but I think I'm at that finger ready stage. I knead this around with my hands, rubbing the excess icing off the side of the bowl, gathering it all in. You can be quite firm with it, bash it around. So I've got a lump of firm, handleable dough. I'm going to weigh this and see how much icing we've already added. Put the spoon back in because that was part of our first weight. Scales on. So now we're 1 kilo 99. I'm all sticky. Put that on my scales. On my scales, put that on my chalkboard. So 1 kilo and 99 grams. There we go. Who's up for some sums? 9 take away 5 is 4. 9 take away 3 is 6. That was slow. Nothing take away 8. Can't do that. 10 take away 8 is 2. Carry over 1, nothing. So 264 grams of icing I have added to our mixture. So 264 has gone into my particular egg, and we're going to use a bit more icing as a dust on the board so everything's not all sticky. There we go. So now we've got our lump of dough. I'll move our things out of the way. So I'm going to put some icing on my work surface, just like dusting flour when you're making pastry. And I'm going to sit our dough, make a round pate with that. Doesn't have to be round, to be honest, any shape you like will do. What I've often done in the past is I take a lump of the dough, roll it into a ball, then I shape that round ball in my fingers to make a disc about 1/4 inch, 1/2 centimetre thick. So I have this little disc of peppermint, a little tiny peppermint pate. Now I'm going to put this on, I've got a plastic tray which is perfect for drying out my peppermint creams. I don't like putting them on greaseproof paper. We would need these to dry out for a day or two in a warm, dry space. And if you put them on greaseproof paper, I find it tends to crinkle up underneath them because we're trying to remove some moisture from our dough. If you've got freezer paper, I think that would work really well. But I find that my plastic tray isn't excellent. When they're dry, they release quite easily from the plasticness. I haven't greased it or put any sort of coating on it. It's just a plastic tray. They shouldn't be sticky to the touch. If it gets too sticky and wet in your hands, add a dusting of icing sugar. What we could also do, which I was going to show, is I've got my little rolling pin at the ready. Again, some icing sugar on the rolling pin so it doesn't stick to everything. And roll it out 1/2 centimetre thick. You choose whatever size and shape you'd like your peppermint creams to be. And I'm going to try, I haven't got a pastry cutter small enough for my requirements. So I've got this little tiny glass. So I'm going to use that and see if I can cut some circles out. That makes life nice and quick and easy. And cut some circles, as many as I can fit on my piece of dough. Move that box out of the way before I throw it on the floor. And place my pepperminty creams onto my plasticky tray. Squish together the leftover dough and repeat. Roll it out and cut out some more circles. If you don't have a cutter of any sort, you could just score the dough with a knife into squares. You can cut it into squares and have square peppermint creams. Be absolutely fine. There we go. They can sit quite close together on the tray, not like baking cookies in the oven. They're not going to rise and spread, so they won't take up any more space than they are now. So I've got 4, 8, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 20. I've made 20 peppermint creams with my 1 egg white, 260 grams of icing sugar. Checking my figures, 200 and how much? 264 grams of icing sugar and a teaspoon of peppermint extract. Now I'm going to leave these in a warm, dry place for at least a day, maybe 2 or 3, depends how busy I get, and they'll get firm and hard and still soft and gooey and delicious on the inside, but they get a firm, dry outer coating. Then I'm going to melt some chocolate and take each of my peppermint creams and dip them, half of them, into melted chocolate. And they're already as delicious Christmas treats. Now the wonderful thing with this peppermint cream recipe, I have been experimenting over the years, and you don't have to be peppermint flavoured. You can make delicious chocolate creams with all sorts of flavours and colours. So I'm going to make some more mixture, but this time I'm making violet creams because they're my favourite. So the wonderful thing with our nice basic simple peppermint cream recipe is I can use that and adapt it to make creams of a whole variety of flavours and add a touch of colour too. So I'm going to use my same bowl and spoon, save on washing up. Yes, it has a little trace of peppermint, but that'll be fine. Get myself a second egg. Pussycats are going to do well today. Lots of egg yolks mixed with milk. Delicious, they will love it. Now we know from last time, my egg white is going to use about 260 grams of icing sugar. I'm not going to weigh it this time, I'm just going to keep adding icing sugar until I get my right doughy consistency. Mix in some more icing sugar. This is getting quite firm already. Must have been a smaller egg. So to my icing sugar egg white mixture, this time I'm adding not peppermint extract, but a violet food flavouring. It's an unusual one to find. You could use lemon or lime or strawberry or any flavoured essence that you like the flavour of. So again, in goes a teaspoonful. And mix that in. I love the a sweet we can get here in the UK. It's called Parma Violets. They're a purple violety colour. It's a dry, chalky sweet. Purple coloured and violet flavoured. So now to this, because these are violet cream flavoured, I'm going to add a tiny amount of my purple food colouring. Now this is a food colouring paste. It's very thick and globby, but you could drip a liquid in here just as easily. Now you don't have to put any food colourings in. I find this makes them look pretty, and I can identify easily on the sweet packet which ones are violet and which ones are peppermint. As I said, you could add strawberry flavourings or lemon, colours to match if you're putting colours in. Or you could really have fun and have lemon flavoured pink creams. Confuse your guests. Can they guess the flavour? Knead it all together. Like, well, more like bread than pastry, because you want to be soft and delicate with pastry, and you can be quite rough and brutal with this. And just like our peppermint creams, dust with a little extra icing sugar to stop it sticking to the board. And roll it out with our rolling pin and cut some circles. Or, as I said before, you don't have to be circles. You could slice it into squares or little diamond shapes. Whatever you have available and whatever you'd like them to be. And there I have violet creams. Just like our peppermint creams, but these will be violet flavoured. You will see the dusty white of the icing sugar on these a little bit more because they're coloured, but as they start to firm up and dry out, that whiteness will go away. There we go. Second tray, my second set of creamed, and I'm saying cream chocolates because I'm going to dip these in chocolate when they've firmed up and dried out a little in a couple of days. I will dip these in some melted chocolate, just a half of it, one half in the chocolate and one half not. It makes them look pretty and taste extra delicious, because who doesn't like an extra bit of chocolate? So there we have it, our peppermint and my violet creams, ready to dry out, dip in chocolate. Clear my work surface, and while I'm making Christmas sweeties, I'm also going to make some marzipan discs that I will dip in chocolate at the same time as I dip my peppermint creams and my violet creams. Now, I haven't made marzipan. I've never made marzipan, although you can. I don't know why I never have. And I'm going to use my marzipan dough to do exactly the same as I did with my peppermint creams and my violet cream mixture. I'm going to knead it in my hands for a moment just to soften it up slightly because it's really firm and stiff. And I'm going to roll that out and cut circles in it and lay them out on a tray. And when I dip my peppermint and violets into chocolate, I will do the same with the marzipan. Again, a dusting of icing sugar to stop it sticking to your hands and your work surface. And I think I'm going to break this into 2 lumps because it's a little too large to be handling right now. Flatten it out to a pate, dust my rolling pin and roll it out about 1/3 of an inch thick, 1/2 centimetre. And just like our other sweeties, I'm going to use this glass to cut some circles. Oh, I thought it was stuck for a moment then. It did pop out. There we have some discs of marzipan that I will dip in chocolate. Another lovely thing to do with marzipan, especially in this Christmas season, is I'll stuff some dates with it. I have some somewhere. Oh, no, I need a sharp knife too. Wasn't planning on doing this. There we go. All of these, there's only 4 left. I've been munching them, they're delicious. So if you get yourself some dates, cut your date open by slicing halfway along it, the sharp pointy knife. Open it up and take out its pip. Take a piece of your marzipan and roll it into a little sausage, at least twice as big as your date pip stone pip was, and put that inside your date, your opened up date. Put your marzipan inside and close it over again. Now, you don't want to close it completely shut so you don't see the marzipan. We want to know it's there. And there we have marzipan stuffed dates. What's often nice at Christmas is a little tiny piece of glacé cherry, very red glistening bit of glacé cherry, makes them look really pretty. I'm going to do another one of these. Well, I'll do all of these 4 actually. So we cut along the date, open it out, a bit like opening a tiny baguette. Take out the stone, piece of marzipan, roll it in the hands to make a little sausage and pop that inside your date. That's 22 marzipan seeds and a little bit for me. Delicious. So that's me. I'm going to put my marzipan ones onto a tray so it can sit and it's quite firm and dry. You could dip this in chocolate now. It's not quite as moist as your peppermint cream mixture is. But I'll leave it and we'll dip them all at the same time together. I'll see you in a couple of days for chocolate dipping. Bye for now. Catch you later. Hello and welcome back. Here we are the next day. Our peppermint and violet creams are all firm. Got a nice crispy coating on the outside of them. Not all soft and doughy like they were yesterday. Just from a night in a warm, dry, well-aired room. It's the air they want, not really the heat, to dry them off and give them a nice crispy shell. So today we're going to dip these in chocolate. I've melted myself a teacup of chocolate. I've got 150 grams of dark chocolate because dark chocolate's my personal preference, but you could use milk or white, whichever you like, or a combination. I melt it in a teacup because it gives me a small volume of chocolate that I can get quite deep in order to dip things in it. Biscuits, chocolate sweets, so I can get a good depth of chocolate without having to have kilos and kilos of the stuff in a big bowl. You could use a small bowl, it would work just as well, but it's about having a small volume of chocolate in a deep space, but you still need room to get your hands in to dip your products into it. I'm going to take my teaspoon out of this one, so I don't need that in there anymore. When I dip my chocolates, I like to lay them on this plasticky film. I have no idea what this film is called. This piece I have, which is a nice large piece, I got from the front of, I think it was a Christmas decoration box. It could have been a child's toy, the window in the front. So you get all the display boxes with Christmas presents in, or your latest luxury perfumes and soaps. My big sheet came from a box of Christmas decorations many years ago. But you can get several smaller pieces, will work just as well. This year I've noticed amongst my things with this box of Christmas crackers, the whole lid is made of this plasticky film. So when these have been used up this year, I'll be cutting the edges off this film, so I have another sheet to add to my collection, because they're really useful when you do lots of cooking and baking. So it's no good for hot things, but perfect for putting my chocolate on. So let's start. Where's my peppermint creams? We have a peppermint cream and my melted chocolate, and it's as simple as this. I'm going to dip it into the chocolate so it's half covered, roll it around in my hands a moment just to get those dribbles moving about, and place it on my plastic film. You could use a plastic tray, a baking sheet, greaseproof paper, freezer paper. Any of those things would work very well. Exactly the same with my violet creams. Dip it in the chocolate, swirl it around just for a second to let that firm up a little bit, and place it on the plastic film. And not forgetting our marzipan discs, and exactly the same. Dipped in the chocolate, roll it around a bit and lay it out on the film. And that will be us. Beautiful Christmas sweeties. Oh, now where did I put my marzipan dates? Bear with me, I'll be back in just a second. I think they're in the other room. I put them in the other room, out of the way of pussycat paws. I didn't have any glacé cherries to pop on the top, but what I did find for my 4 remaining dates was a couple little sparkly silver balls that you would normally put on top of fairy cakes or biscuits, so that one of those on each little jewelled ball makes them look very Christmassy and festive. So now to get on with dipping all these lovely creams, let's do the peppermint ones first. No particular reason. Choose your disc of peppermint sweet. Immerse it in your chocolate. Roll it around a bit and onto the tray. So I'll see you in a moment when these are all dipped. Either that or I'll speed the film up and do it super fast. So when your chocolate level starts dropping in the cup and it's not so deep, you could melt some more chocolate and put that in on top to give you a deeper pool of chocolate to dip into. Or when you put your cream in, place it in the chocolate and you push your cream just very gently, you swish it front and back, and that makes a little wave up the side of your cream, giving you a deeper coating. So there we have it, all our wonderful chocolate coated sweets ready to gift and enjoy this Christmas season. Remember, whatever you're doing, enjoy doing it. Have fun. We'll see you next time. Bye for now. Oh. Well, that's a bit of a mess to hoover up in a minute. In fact, I think I'll sweep that up and hoover icing sugar into the hoover. Oh, how sticky will that get? Horrendous. Didn't drop much. Walked a long way.